Good morning and welcome to Korea Today, live from Seoul.
And back to the drawing board. Officials will review the country's tax code from square one following criticism that the latest revision bill puts more tax burden on the middle and low-income groups.
Yesterday went by without any major power disruptions, but it's too soon to let our guards down. Details coming up in the headlines. That's right, Pyongyang. It was a hot day yesterday, but Koreans rallied in discomfort to get through without a power crisis. Coming up, we'll show you on In Print. And a very special music festival on the beautiful hills of Pyeongchang. More about that later.
Back to the future, or shall we say back to the past. Fast and convenient digital technology, but with an analog touch to it. Just the right mixture of digilog. The blistering heat has swept Korea, and in some cases, quite literally, with blisters. With the summer heat comes related skin conditions. How to deal with them? Find out on Korea Today on Tuesday, August 13th, 2013.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
Good to have you with us on Korea Today on this Tuesday morning.
And if you stayed up really late last night or woke up really early in the morning, you had a chance to witness the Perseid meteor shower that basically rained meteors over our heads at the rate of 100 meteors per hour at its peak. Now, it's actually a natural occurrence, happens once a year as a result of material falling from the tail of the Swift-Tuttle comet. And there are some videos there. Ooh, there it is.
100 shooting stars in just 1 hour. That is just so romantic, I have to say. And you don't need a telescope or binoculars to enjoy the spectacular scene, just your naked eye. And it's a pity that we didn't get to see that because it was a cloudy morning and we had light pollution there too, but we didn't get to make a wish.
Oh, but there's always next year. But it is tough watching or staying up until like 3 in the morning. I think the peak was around 3 to 4.
Missing that, right?
Yeah, that's right. So maybe next year, right? If you missed it this time.
All right, first up is the day's headlines on this Tuesday morning.
So is the government's new tax revision proposal back to square one? It certainly seems like it after President Park Geun-hye ordered related ministries to re-examine the revisions from scratch. On Monday, this follows a heavy political backlash with criticisms that the proposal favored the rich and large businesses. An emergency meeting was held just hours after the president spoke. Let's take a listen to Finance Minister Hyun Oh-seok.
Revisions to the tax laws will be reviewed from scratch in a way that it doesn't place an extra tax burden on ordinary and middle-class citizens. We will also view measures on a multilateral level to better manage the tax systems and administrations in order to tackle tax evasion by high-income independent businessmen.
Now, the government's original plan was to increase taxation on salaried workers with an annual income of more than $31,000, but it's reportedly looking into raising that bar to $45,000. If that happens, it would cut the number of workers subject to more taxes from 4.3 million to 2.5 million. With the continuing hot weather where mercury levels are hovering around 35 degrees Celsius across the nation, it's only natural that people are tempted to turn on the air conditioning, but it looks like many Koreans participated in the nationwide power-saving campaign as Monday passed by without any major power shortage crisis. Authorities say the country was able to maintain power reserves level in the 4 million kilowatt range on Monday after many businesses, including factories, reduced operations during peak energy consumption hours in the afternoon. The Korea Power Exchange says it expects electricity demand to surge between 2 and 3 p.m. on Tuesday again, forcing the reserve level to dip below 2 million kilowatts. The heat wave is expected to continue until Wednesday. North Korea has unveiled its first ever smartphone called Arirang. The news comes despite the fact that North Korean citizens are banned from using cell phone data services. Pyongyang state-run television says its leader Kim Jong-un visited the factory where the smartphones were being assembled. The handset is known to be a touchscreen Android clone with application programs and a high-pixel camera. But a North Korea analyst, Martin Williams, speculates the devices are likely being produced in China and then shipped across the border so that North Korea can pretend to have made them. The South Korean military has decided to purchase 4 aerial refueling tankers beginning in 2017. Korea's Defense Acquisition Program Administration says the bidding will open in February next year and that it aims to select the contractor by October the same year at the latest.
The basic strategy for processing the aerial refueling tankers project has been decided. After talking with related agencies, a budget will be determined and an official bid will be announced.
With air-to-air refueling, the operational hours of Korea's combat jets will increase, allowing them to travel longer distances without touching the ground and carry more weapons. And on the same day, the agency also picked its preferred bidders in developing medium-altitude unmanned aerial vehicles, which will boost military capabilities in monitoring North Korea's missile bases and nuclear facilities. Korean Air was chosen to be in charge of developing the vehicle and integration system. LIG next one for developing joint tactical data link and Yukon system for the ground control system.
And good morning, everyone. The big news item this morning continues to be the government's revised tax code, particularly the changes that could be made on it. The story is on all of our front pages this morning. Let's go ahead and take a look at it on 조선일보. It's a biting headline. It reads, 7 months of work returns to square one in just 4 days. And the picture does show President Park Geun-hye directing her staff to re-examine the proposed revision during a meeting with her senior secretaries yesterday. Following that, the caption notes, concern is being raised that there is a big problem in the policy-making process amongst the party's government and presidential office of 청와대. Also pictured are Strategy and Finance Minister Hyun Oh-seok, Economy Senior Secretary Cho Won-dong, as well as Saenuri floor leader Choi Kyung-hwan there. At that morning meeting, the president told her senior secretaries that thinning the people's already thin wallets is against the government's economic policy. She said that though the plan was well-intentioned, it was not well explained. And the article goes on to say that her staff are set to work on a revised tax code through today, together with the Saenuri party, which is expected to be announced later today. Meanwhile, the main opposition Democratic Party, still out in protest at Seoul Plaza, called the president's direction an admittance to the government, the Blue House, and the ruling party's incompetence, and urged the president to issue an apology for the quote-unquote serious chaos. All right, we'll go ahead and scoot on over to 동아일보 now to take a look at how it's covering this story. The headline reads, political parties, government say raise baseline for tax hike to 55 million won, or that's $49,000 annual pay, of course. And the image shows Prime Minister Hyun seating himself at that emergency meeting called yesterday to discuss how to proceed with the revision proposal. Now, the article says that the prevailing opinion right now is to raise that baseline for those required to pay more taxes to $49,000 from the previously proposed $30,000 annual income. Also being considered is slashing the additional taxes those with an annual income of $62,000 or less would pay, which would then cut the projected government income by $269 million. And taking a look at Gyeongyang Shinmun's front page, it also has the story on its front page, choosing to focus on the calls for the president's staff to take responsibility for the confusion, even that criticism coming from those in the ruling party. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and take a look at this side story. It includes developments in the prosecutorial probe involving former President Chun Doo-hwan's and the headline reads, prosecutors seek arrest warrant for suspected slush fund manager Chun Doo-hwan's brother-in-law. And he is pictured here. The article says the 62-year-old Lee Chang-seok was questioned by prosecutors yesterday, during which his status turned into suspect. He is believed to have put up his land as collateral for a loan used to purchase property owned by the former president's second son, Gaeseong. And prosecutors are looking at the possibility that he also helped Gaeseong purchase land at below market prices. And of course, the other big story this morning is the hot weather continuing today and the extreme measures that Koreans took yesterday to avert an energy crisis amidst warnings from the government. And the front page image, as you saw earlier, shows a worker at the Security and Public Administration building without lights and without air conditioning or electric fan for that matter. This as Seoul saw a high of 33 degrees yesterday, and the sweltering conditions are expected to continue through tomorrow. And more of the same on 중앙일보. Its image title reads, AC off at government offices, indoor temperatures at 30.8 degrees Celsius. And that is in Fahrenheit, some 87 degrees. This image shows us a shot out of the 11th floor office at Busan City Hall. And the caption explains that on blackout fears, the Security and Public Administration Ministry asked public offices to turn off lights during daylight hours and limit elevator use as well. This shot was taken at 3:35 in the afternoon with the AC turned off. And finally, scooting over to our business newspaper for today, the Korea Economic Daily hails the combined efforts of the Korean people as the reason why the country was able to avert, albeit barely devastating, power situation yesterday. The headline to this article reads, companies and households all show astounding power-saving posture. And the article cites one Korea Power Exchange official as saying that the combined power-saving efforts of the people is believed to have saved some 2 million kilowatts of electricity, far exceeding the 600,000 kilowatts lost from the 2 power generators that were down beginning on Monday and over the weekend. And that is equivalent to power generated from 2 nuclear power plants. The alert continues, though, through tomorrow, so let us keep it up.
Eunice, not to brag or anything, but I didn't do my laundry yesterday.
Right, it's the little
in keeping with the
steps
saving spirit there, of course.
And I took the stairs yesterday.
Well, see, it's the people banding together, and then once they do, they can actually make up for electricity lost through, what was it, 2 power reactors. I mean, that's an
Nuclear
amazing,
power plants,
that's amazing
yes.
teamwork there. So just keep this up, and it looks like we'll get through this one.
Yeah, but really, the country should not really ask its people to avoid a power shortage crisis. I think really Korea needs to come up with measures to avoid and fix the problem fundamentally.
Yes, these are some issues that do need to be resolved.
And with that, we will wrap your look at what's in print on this Tuesday. Next up are your closing numbers from Monday's Market Action.
Tomorrow, the 2 Koreas will sit down for the 7th round of talks aimed at resuming operations at the joint Gaeseong industrial complex. Seoul has said that it considers this the last chance to resume and reopen the industrial park, so it's going into this with prudence.
There have been careful speculations that this round of talks may yield some meaningful results, but of course, not without obstacles. Now, we'll get a look at the outlook of the talks that's to be held tomorrow, as well as some of the topics that are likely to be discussed.
Operations at the Gaeseong Industrial Complex came to an abrupt halt on April 8th. And since then, 6 rounds of inter-Korean talks were held to discuss the reopening of the park, but without concrete results. With patience running low on both sides, South Korea made an announcement August 7th.
We have decided in a committee meeting today to pay out insurance claims to resident companies in the Gaeseong Industrial Complex.
The insurance payments are the first real steps towards closing down the Gaeseong complex. So you can see it as the South Korean government making its first move towards North Korea, saying that it is heading in that direction.
But only 1 hour after Seoul announced its final decision on the fate of the complex, Pyongyang broke silence on the issue of holding the 7th round of talks and agreed to reopen negotiations, offering to hold the inter-Korean meeting on the 14th.
It seems that North Korea had in mind August 15th, Liberation Day for the two Koreas, and also the fact that starting August 19th, the Ulchi Freedom Guardian joint exercises begin. Once the drills start, the two Koreas see tension in inter-Korean relations. So it seems like a way to restart operations at the Gaeseong Industrial Complex before it is too late.
And there was a noticeable change in attitude following the offer for talks from North Korea's Committee for the Peaceful Reunification of Korea.
North and South Korea should prevent a recurrence of the Gaeseong shutdown and guarantee that operations won't be affected by any situation.
Pyongyang did not take issue with Seoul's mention of political and military actions as it had when the 6th round of talks collapsed. The South has called this a forward-looking stance.
North Korea brought out a very forward-looking stance. This is an assessment made from the South's Unification Ministry. The fact that Pyongyang used the expression regardless of all political circumstances while discussing preventative measures of the same situation shows that there is a difference in these talks from the previous ones.
The main point of contention is expected to be the drawing up of preventative measures, although Pyongyang has included in its recent special statement both the South and North. Seoul has pushed for the North to be the accountable party, saying that the side responsible should be the one guaranteeing preventative measures.
This time, the South will want to confirm to what degree North Korea can promise the same situation will not occur again. For example, it will want to make sure that Pyongyang will not shut down the Gaeseong complex when the South Korean media has coverage they think is insulting, or when Seoul and Washington have joint military drills. I think this will be the greatest issue of debate.
Realizing that specific preventative measures are crucial, Seoul has maintained its stance, saying it will only reopen operations if the North guarantees that no such sudden closures will occur in the future. Even if the two sides reach an agreement for reopening the business park, experts say a few issues still need to be addressed during the meeting.
There are 3 main points: customs clearance, cross-border movement, and communication. South Korean companies need to be able to freely enter the complex. Goods need to always be able to come out of the complex. And building a free zone where communication, such as using the internet, can be done freely would be the best option.
All eyes will be on the two Koreas as they sit down tomorrow to iron out their differences surrounding the inter-Korean complex, which has been shut down for more than 4 months.
If the South and North are able to produce results from the 7th round of talks, it can become the starting point for other issues, such as reunions for separated families, reopening the Mount Kumgang tourism project, and building a DMZ peace park. That's why the outcome of this meeting is so important. It has great significance for the Park Geun-hye administration because it can determine inter-Korean relations for the next coming 1 or 2 years.
As you might recall from yesterday, North Korea's point man on inter-Korean relations, Mr. Kim Yang-gun, has said that a lot hinges on the fate of the Gaeseong industrial complex, including the DMZ Peace Park, which the Park Geun-hye administration has set its eyes on. So many are carefully speculating that maybe, maybe, there will be some concrete results this time around.
Right. I mean, the insurance payments for the South Korean companies at Gaeseong have already begun, but not a lot of companies have claimed the money so far. It just goes to show how hopeful they are about resuming operations in their factories.
And as mentioned in our report, and as you mentioned, Min-jung, this talks tomorrow, it can play a stepping stone to opening up gateways to other talks, and including the reunion of separated family members, which is also very important on the list of talks there.
All right, well, time now to get a check on the weather with our Lee Da-mi, who is joining us from the Gwanghwamun Square in Jongno District.
So how hot is it going to be? That's the question.
How hot is it going to be today, Da-mi? Tell us.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Today I'm reporting live from Gwanghwamun Square, located in Jongno-gu, Seoul. Now, if you thought last week was a hot one, then prepare yourselves because this week is going to be even hotter. Right now, more than 80% of the nation are under heat wave alerts, and this is due to a high-pressure front up in the North Pacific, which is taking control of the Korean Peninsula. Now, currently, right now, this morning, temperatures are at about 26 degrees Celsius. We will be seeing mostly clear skies throughout the day with some passing clouds. And here and there is a very cool wind that is blowing, which takes a momentary break from the heat. All right, let's now go ahead and take a look at the numbers around the peninsula. Here in the nation's capital, highs will peak to 33, Daejeon at 34, Daegu will be sweltering hot at 37, Gangneung and Gwangju at 36, as Jeju Island will be similar to Seoul at 33 degrees. Tomorrow, we're expecting clear conditions once again. That's all I have for the weather forecast. I'll be back in just a few moments to show you a festival that is taking place in the area.
And still ahead, when was the last time you received a handwritten letter? With digital technology penetrating the fabric of our lives, we're seeing less analog features. But not to worry, a new line of digital products are adding that element of nostalgia. So when was the last time you received a handwritten letter?
It's been a long time. I just got a message from my mother telling me a few nice things that she could have written by hand, but she doesn't do that anymore.
Not anymore.
All right, 7:22 a.m. on Korea Today, and we've been talking a lot about rock festivals, but today we're going to be talking about a music festival of a different nature.
Right, the Pyeongchang Special Music Festival was held last week, and our reporter Im Yoon-hee was there, and she's now back. How was it?
It was awesome. Good morning. I was actually really fortunate to be able to attend this festival. They invited musicians and artists from across the globe, and they were all there with the same purpose to support the intellectual disability musical committee. The musical community. And they held it in Pyeongchang, and to sort of put that into perspective, Pyeongchang, as you guys know, is the location of the 2018 Winter Olympics, but it was also the location of the most recent Special Winter Olympics, and they actually opened this music festival in response to a cultural event that they had at that Special Olympics. And now let's take a look. Tucked into the flowering hills of Pyeongchang, the 2013 Special Music Festival has gone beyond the traditional use of music as a means of expression. Instead, it has been used to create a bridge connecting the musical realm with the intellectually disabled community. Participants and volunteers have come from all over the world to cross that bridge and share in their passion for music.
In January, something very special happened here. We held the Special Olympics at this location, and to commemorate that and also give the intellectually disabled an opportunity to grow and showcase their abilities through culture and music, we decided to hold this festival.
The 88 students here may represent different countries as well as different instruments, but music is the underlying common denominator. Over the 5-day period, students were given one-on-one lessons with some of the top professional musicians in the world.
되게 잘해요.
예.
뭐 잘해요? 어떤 거요?
임프롬프하고 쇼팽 말츠를 해요. 2개 연습 많이 했어요, 이쪽에.
However, teaching an intellectually disabled student requires a little bit of a different approach.
The kids can be a little difficult to teach at times, but I feel like I need to hold it in and think about what's best for them. I can't focus on what I want to do for the students. The most important thing is to know what they want to do.
In order to give the students a break, teachers and mentors put on mini concerts featuring a few of the star students. While these concerts were aimed at both entertaining and inspiring, many of the mentors were eager to continue to share their experiences with the participants.
You want to share your talent with others. And I thought this was a great occasion to share my talent with the people, the beautiful ones, who enjoy music a lot. And apparently I found some geniuses out there. And I'm very happy for this great event. I hope it happens more often.
This year's theme of Together We Play took on a visual form as students and teachers enter the stage collectively for one final production. Parents were invited on this final day to watch their child perform alongside fellow peers and mentors. Both the audience and participants could all see the harmony of the community when everyone plays together.
He likes music. He can see concerts every day. So this is every day, 5 days every day. There's music, concerts. See, so he enjoys himself. Do you enjoy? Yes.
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 The mentee, mentor, and mate all playing together gives me the feeling that we really can do everything if we come together as one.
I want my daughter to be brave and confident so that later other intellectually disabled children will look to her for hope and inspiration.
As the students initially looked to their mentors for guidance, they can now leave with new experiences to share with others. Music is an essential part of every participant's life, whether they be mentor or mentee, and that is what puts them in harmony.
Wow, we saw some skills that could put any mentor in shame. I mean, some of the mentees there just had all the right moves and hit the right notes there. How long could they have possibly been playing for? I mean, do they have a long background in music?
You know, they're all students, so they're all pretty young to begin with. Some of the piano players I interviewed started at really young ages, but the guitarists, the drummers, they started a little bit later. But I think overall, the reason why they were so good was that they had been playing for so long, and they were so passionate about music. And on top of that, they were really talented, as you guys can see.
I mean, all of them must be aspiring to become professional musicians. They are so talented.
You know, some of the kids I talked to there, they weren't quite sure. They're still young about what they want to do in the future, but many of them do, because they're so passionate about music, they do want to pursue careers in the music industry. So it's really neat to see.
Tell us more about this mentor-mentee program that they had at the festival.
Well, every mentee there was paired up with sort of like a buddy, a mate. They called it a mate, and that buddy was either the translator if they were from international places, or it was their just kind of guidance counselor through the entire event. And you know, it was really neat to see their reaction when the event was ending. And I think the mentees were more sad to say goodbye to their mate than to their mentors.
So a special bond that they've developed over this short span of time there, huh?
I think they all shared music in common, so they all bonded over that.
All right, great story there.
Yeah, very successful event, a very meaningful event as well. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Eunice.
for having me this morning.
All right, from one festival to another, we're going to go to Idami, who is joining us from Mugunghwa Festival. We told you about this a few days ago.
Yes, we talked about this. We're talking about 10,000 different bulbs of mugunghwas.
Right, the national flower of Korea.
All right, we'll take it over to Dami.
reporting live from Gangwon Square where the National Flower Mugunghwa Festival is taking place. Now, this year marks the 23rd anniversary of the festival, which started back in the year 1991. And, here in Seoul, in Gwanghwamun, it is going to take place until this Thursday, August 15th, which is also Liberation Day here in Korea. Now, there are lots of things to do here at the Mugunghwa Festival, such as right here we see sticker pictures that you can take with your loved ones, and this is for free as well. So it's a really great experience, and you can capture the moment. And while you walk around Gwanghwamun Square, there are so many mugunghwa, or the Rose of Sharon, that you can see here that are on display in the forms of topiaries and different artworks as well. Now, the Mugunghwa Festival is a great place to come on over and learn about the national flower itself. There are so many other experiences that you can try out, such as dyeing cloth with mugunghwa extracts and much more. Now, if you happen to miss the opportunity here in Seoul, from the months of July to August, the Mugunghwa Festival will be taking place in other parts of the nation. So after the one here in Seoul ends, then there will be one over in Suwon of Gyeonggi Province as well, which will be going on until August 18th. So this is your look at the Mugunghwa Festival here at Gwanghwamun Square. I'm Lee, Korea Today.
You're watching Korea Today. A marriage between two worlds, digital and analog. Digilog is creating a buzz in the tech world these days. And today we're going to talk about the rebirth of analog in a digital age.
Okay, with all things going digital these days, sometimes you want to step back and listen to an LP, a record, or maybe even a cassette tape once in a while. But we're talking about something a bit more sentimental this time, something along the lines of maybe writing a handwritten letter to someone. Joining us is Lee-tae to talk more about this. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me. Now, you get that kind of warm feeling when you get a handwritten note because you know that person has spent a little bit more time and effort into writing that note for you. Now, the tech industry has noticed this as well because a lot of companies are moving towards adding analog elements with digital technology, and this becomes a very important marketing point to consumers when the products are being commercialized. Let's go ahead and take a closer look. With the advancement in digital technology, our lives are changing rapidly and becoming more convenient. And with this, a new technology that combines the primary tool of communication in the analog era, a pencil and paper, with digital technology was first developed by a Korean company. This looks like a regular notepad, but when you draw or write on it, the contents appear right on the smartphone screen next to it. The secret is this smart pen with Bluetooth capabilities. It reads the dot codes printed on the paper and transfers the coordinates real-time to a mobile app. The technology to draw on digital display screens has been around for a long time, but with this pen, it allows me to draw on paper and transfer that information directly to my digital device. You can easily share what you've written on social networking sites like Facebook and Twitter, and you can also email it by tapping on an email icon on the notepad.
It uses a code made up of dots called dot codes, and by filming those codes, it reads the coordinates. Information in those coordinates contain the type of notepad, the pages, and detailed coordinates.
Also, by drawing notes on music paper, you can make the tunes play from a piano on a mobile phone app. The same can also be done with drums by tapping on the drum-shaped circles on the notepad, which will in turn use pre-recorded tunes to play. And it's not only text. You can play music or videos on a computer or digital device by tapping dot code stickers printed on the book with a pen.
You can use the content written on paper in various ways. So you can solve problems on paper, share the contents that you've written on your notepad with other people, and also look at notes that you've made at home on your smartphone.
There's also a service that creates an analog paper album using digital video clips. This was inspired by the old flipbook, where you draw cartoons on the corner of every page and flip through the pages to make it look like the images are moving.
If you film a video using some of these fun props, they'll go ahead and make a paper photo book for you in under 2 minutes.
The way a flip book is made is simple. First, pose in front of the camera and create a 7-second clip which is inputted into computer software. It then divides the video up into several frames and prints it into a photo album the size of a business card.
Now with this short clip, they've put together some 60 photos in this little photo album for me in under 2 minutes. Now I have something to hold on to, and I'll look through it a little bit more.
The flipbook is used for company promotion events and also for personal memories, such as wedding proposals or anniversaries. It's popular with the younger generation that is more used to digital images because it captures fun facial expressions and movements.
When I was younger, I used to draw flip cartoons on my textbooks, and this reminds me of that, so it's fun.
I think it's great that we can see the flipbook as soon as we finish filming the video.
Meanwhile, even ebooks are adding more analog elements by using electronic ink and adding page flipping functions. It's a digital device, but with added analog features from paper books. The analog features that had died out due to the development in digital technology are making a comeback. More products are expected to come out that offer the best of both worlds.
And we're now back with Taeho the clown.
The clown monster, right?
The man who's not afraid to dress up and get down and dirty for Korea today. The flip books, I personally like those. It reminds me of the times when you're sitting in class and you have
so
nothing
much
to do.
fun.
So you get the corner of your textbooks, right?
And
you're not supposed to write
through,
on those,
right?
by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how was the experience?
I actually had a great time. I had such a great time that I decided to bring in a flip-pop book for everybody here.
All right.
Really? Of you?
Sounds good.
Well, let us see this first.
It was a great time for me because, you really get to be in that moment.
Wait, the images are different. I thought it was
I got the Taeho the clown.
Take a look at this.
Yours is different?
Look at that one.
Oh, it's
There it is.
It's all of
it's
us.
our show.
Right, exactly, it's your opening man. Now, this is great because you don't actually have to be at an event to receive this flip-pop book. You can actually send in a video file, and the video file can be from your smartphone, webcam, or digital camera, and they'll go in and have a flip-pop book made for you. Now, this is like the perfect marriage between analog and digital because you have a digital input where you're standing in front of the camera making your video file, and you have a great analog output where you had this paper flip book to, kind of cherish and keep around, and you always kind of look at it more because you have something in your hand, right?
Well, this is very interesting, but I'm completely blown away by the pen and the dot, what was it called?
The dot code paper.
Dot code paper, right.
Exactly.
Tell us more about that.
That's really cool because the pen and the paper, they act kind of like a barcode and a scanner, or something that we more commonly see, a QR code and our smartphone. Basically, the pen scans the microdots on the paper and sends that message back to your digital device, whether it's a tablet or your smartphone, through Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. So it's really, really cool. It's real time right there. You see the handwriting or your pictures.
The burning question is, how much are those? Now, I know you can't tell us the exact numbers, but they are pretty expensive, huh?
Well, the best part about this is that, the product itself isn't commercialized. Its target date is, I think, the end of August.
Right.
But they were kind of testing the pricing with the consumers and test markets, and a lot of people were worried more about the price of paper than the pen. But the pen itself is an optical device that has Bluetooth and Wi-Fi capabilities, but it's only the price of a reasonably nice pen. So it's not too bad, and the paper itself is the best part. It's the price of a paper that's on the market right now. And even better than that, if you have the dot code format on your computer, you can actually print it out on your printer at home.
Okay, so there's a lot of viable options. You don't have to break the bank to get one of those pens.
Exactly.
And a notepad.
There's no real big price burden for consumers. So actually, I think that's the best part.
15 days or so more to go until we get our hands on that pen
Exactly.
and that paper. Thank you, Taeho, for that.
Thank you very much.
All right, still ahead on Korea today. It is still the peak of summer and it's getting hotter, so you might want to take a trip to the pool, but there are some diseases or conditions that are associated with the sun as well as sweating. Irritations such as freckles, sunburn, and acne are problems to look out for in the heat. We take a look at some ways to prevent and treat these skin troubles.
And a good Tuesday morning to you all as we kick things off in baseball. Of course, no baseball on Mondays, meaning a bit of a break from the heat for both the players and the fans. And recently, the KBO managers came out stating that the magic number for the playoffs is 70 wins. Now, to see who's getting closer to the 70 mark, let's take a look at the current standings in the KBO. Of course, taking a look at the standings here, we're going to shift over here. First off, the Samsung Lions in first place once again, just 16 wins short of 70 wins. The LG Twins right behind them, just a game back, with the Tucson Bears just barely holding on to their third place spot as they trail the Samsung Lions by 6 games. The Nexon Heroes, despite their struggles, remain in fourth place. And now over to the bottom half of the league, the Lotte Giants continue to climb up, just trailing Nexon by 2 games, with the Kia Tigers falling fast, now 12 games behind the league leaders. And check this out, guys, the SK Wyverns storming back, just 5.5 games behind the Nexon Heroes. Meanwhile, the NC Dinos and the Hanwha Eagles in 8th and 9th place, respectively. And staying in the KBO, later tonight, another week of baseball begins here in the nation, with the pennant race hotter than ever. So with that said, let's take a look at some key matchups taking place later this week. And of course, the biggest series kicking off later tonight as the first place Samsung Lions take on the second place LG Twins at Daegu Stadium. So far in the 11 games that they've played so far, the LG Twins have won 6, while Samsung have won 5. With LG just a game behind the Samsung Lions, this series might be able to send the LG Twins up to the top. Now, elsewhere, from Thursday to Friday, the Nexon Heroes will be facing off against the Lotte Giants, as Lotte's just trailed Nexon by 2 games for that last playoff spot. Now, Lotte has been red hot thanks to Chun Junu, while the Nexon Heroes have been struggling in the second half of the season. And now over to the K-League Classic, where the Ulsan Hyundai Tigers were able to seal a deal with their big man Kim Shin-wook. Of course, with his contract over in December of this year, the Ulsan Hyundai Tigers were able to sign a 3-year extension with Kim. The 196-centimeter striker has been linked with several teams overseas, including Everton in the English Premier League. However, with the extension, Ulsan now has the chance to sell him to other teams within the 3 years, which is actually likely. Meanwhile, Kim Shin-wook has scored 14 goals and tallied 5 assists in the 21 games so far this season. And moving on, if you've been following the South Korean national basketball team during their third-place finish at the Asian Basketball Championships, you might have noticed one name that was being mentioned day after day, Kim Min-gu. But who is Kim Min-gu? Now, the 22-year-old from Kyunghee University was chosen as a backup for Cho Sang-min before he lit it up in the Asian Basketball Championships, putting up 114 points in total, including a combined 48 points in the semifinals against the Philippines and Taiwan during the third-fourth-place matchup. The young South Korean was also chosen as the top 5 best player in the tournament, as he's expected to go first in the upcoming KBL draft in October. And of course, over to the UFC, where the Korean Zombie continues to fight off the octagon as well. Only his fight is actually against the Japanese Rising Sun symbol. Now, during his last UFC event in Brazil, he personally requested the UFC to ban all Rising Sun symbols that can be seen on fight gears. Now, more recently, the South Korean fighter messaged the UFC welterweight champion George St. Pierre, who has been seen wearing a gi that had the Imperial Japanese symbol. Now, Chung added that the symbol is like the Nazi swastika and should be banned from the UFC. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. See you guys again for your sports needs.
The
The weather is so hot these days and the sun very, very strong. Even staying out in the sun for a little while can make you look like a well-baked tomato. And to tell us more about this skin trouble we might have with the strong sun, we're joined by a dermatologist, Dr. Yoon Sung-eun. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to see you guys.
All right, tell us a little bit about some of the conditions that could occur from being in the sun too much.
These days, in July and August are we see the increase in patients at the clinic because strong ultraviolet rays and hot humidity, So skin gets sensitive. So we have people who got sunburn and seborrheic dermatitis and eczema,
That's right. So a lot of these conditions are caused by excessive sweating and maybe not washing up as much and not getting the right amount of protection. We'll get a little bit more on this next clip and come back to talk more about skin conditions during the summer.
With the summer heat at its peak these past few weeks, an increased number of people are seeking help for skin-related problems. The main reason for this rise in people struggling from skin trouble is the strong ultraviolet rays, high temperatures, and high humidity levels. According to research by the Health Insurance Review and Assessment Service, the number of sunburn patients is at its highest in July and August. Sunburn is when the skin gets inflamed and becomes red and stings. If severe, it can get blisters and start peeling off.
If you get sunburn continually, the collagen degenerates, causing the skin to start aging, and it can lead to skin cancer as well. That's why it's important to be careful of sunburn.
In the case of light sunburn, using milk, cucumber, and aloe packs can help soothe the initial burning sensation in the skin. If the skin starts to peel off, use wet towels that are not too hot or apply moisturizing lotions to help hydrate the skin. UV rays can cause not only sunburn, but also aging of the skin and creates freckles or exacerbate existing skin conditions. Skin pigment problems can usually be treated with laser treatment or medicine. Unfortunately, once you get freckles, it is difficult to have them removed, so it is important to take care of them in the early stages. Using natural substances can cause less irritation to remove dead skin, and massaging areas to help revitalize the skin cells can help recover damaged skin.
We take care of the lymph so that freckles or other pigmentation in the dermis can be removed. And because the dermis gets very dry, we help it get more hydrated so that it can be regenerated.
The heat in the summer increases the amount of sweat and oily substances in it, and this can become the cause of acne and breakouts. When measuring the amount of sebum secreted according to temperatures, the skin shows an active increase in the amount being released when in higher conditions.
With the summer heat, sweat, sebum, and other discharge increase. Because ultraviolet rays get stronger and the temperature of the skin goes up with it, the discharge increases and it mixes with the skin. This is why you see more acne or skin irritations.
Drinking a lot of water regularly helps adjust the amount of discharge from the skin, so it's good to drink a minimum of 1.5 to 2 liters of water several times a day. Light exercise to stimulate blood circulation is also recommended. Acupuncture is used to treat acne in Oriental medicine and bring down body heat while removing toxins. There's also the method of stimulating the dermis with acupuncture to help a natural restoration of the skin. Treatment with LED lights is another option where the skin is illuminated with LED lights and helps with sterilization, soothes the skin, and reduces wrinkles. Other than this, humidity in the summer can cause the spread of germs leading to other skin problems. In the case of children, it's important to be careful of impetigo, which you can get from germs or viruses that penetrate the skin from mosquito bites or wounds.
Impetigo keeps on spreading, so if you don't treat it, it can especially transfer to other children easily, so you need to be careful.
Summer is a time when the skin is more exposed and prone to various problems, so it's important to take extra measures and be mindful of changes in the skin.
So the key to blocking UV rays is, of course, sunblock, right? And I
Right.
know you have to put it on well before you leave the house.
Right. So about like 1 or 2 hours before you leave the house, you need to put sunscreen on. And actually, people think that if they have sunscreen on, they are fine with that. But actually, 3 to 4 hours, every 3 to 4 hours, you have to put it on again because of you sweating, it will go off. You know. Yeah.
Especially if you're in the pool and then a lot of that sunblock,
Right.
whether it's waterproof or not, it does
Right.
come off. But there are many times that you do end up getting sunburned, whether you use sunblock or not. Sometimes you neglect and you just end up getting sunburned. What are some of the remedies that you can use at home or some of the things that you can do after you get a
The
sunburn?
most important thing is that if you feel the heat, you need to cool down the temperature of your skin. So you can apply a cool pack or you can have ice on your face. That's fine. And also, if your skin is damaged, then you need to put some regeneration cream with the Vaseline on. The Vaseline will work as a temporary skin barrier until your skin itself will regenerate. So if you put Vaseline on before you go to bed for 3 days to like 7 days, then your skin will recover by itself.
And speaking of damages, we do have different degrees of sunburn.
Right.
So how are the symptoms different?
Actually, we say like 1st degree or 2nd degree and 3rd degree.
Right.
3rd degree sunburn actually doesn't really happen because like 3rd degree burn, your nerve injury happened, so you don't feel any pain.
Not from the sun,
Yeah,
right?
right. But it doesn't really happen because you feel it already. So 1st burn and 2nd burn, you feel the pain, but 1st degree burn, you feel the swelling, pain and swelling. But 2nd degree burn, you also have intensive swelling plus with blisters. So that's 2nd degree burn.
And when you're under the sun, the first part that comes in contact with the sun, I
Yes.
suppose, is the scalp. And you have to protect your scalp as well, I hear?
Right. Actually, back in 2002, there was a study conducted by Belgium University of Liege that if you are continually exposed to UV rays, then the activated oxygen will actually create inflammation on your root of your hair, and you can actually lose hair. So you need to wear a hat or parasol or sometimes products to protect, because these days hair products can actually help protect your hair from the UV rays. But actually, it's gonna protect you, but if you don't wash it off before you go to bed, then it will clog your scalp. Then also you can lose hair because of the products.
Right. There's a lot to look out for. So everyone wants to look healthy, right? And some people choose to look healthy by getting a tan.
Right.
Now, what's the healthy way to tan? I mean, how can you being health conscious, how can you go out there and get a safe tan?
Actually, you need to know whether you have allergies to the sunlight or not. That's the first thing. And then you need to wear sunscreen. Even if you wear oil to have suntan oil, you first need to have sunscreen to protect your skin first. And then you need to have moisturizer about 2 days before so that your body will be fully moisturized, because after the sun tanning, you will have dehydration and you can actually end up having wrinkles. And you also need to keep the time, because some people do it too long. As we talked about it, you can have sunburn, and also you can tan in the shade. That's that's better and safer than directly under the sun.
It would take longer, though, I would assume.
I think I'll just go without a tan there.
You have to do the
It's a
slow and steady
complicated
method.
procedure there. Thank you, doctor, for your time this morning.
Thank you.
All right, well, that brings us to the end of this edition of Korea Today.
All right, remember, if you're going to be out in the sun, slow and steady. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.
Thanks for watching. Bye.